Welcome in. Welcome in. This is our first time going live on the Bullyball podcast. Uh, Alex is running a little late today. He's in Spain doing something. But go ahead and drop a comment if you can hear me, and we'll jump in. Today we're going to have the topics of the week, what went on with the 49ers, every single week. There's a lot of stuff that happens. Also, we're going to talk about the combine, which is this upcoming week. Some great players going to be at the combine. Look forward to that. We're going to talk about some sleeper players that we are looking out for at the combine. And, we'd like to see and hear from you guys on who you are looking forward to seeing and hearing about from the combine. All right. Looks like our mom is in the chat from California. I'm in Florida recording this. Alex is in Spain, so drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. And looks like Alex is joining in right now. You made it.
Yeah, a little late. That's what happens when you have a baby.
Yep. All right. Looks like our dad just popped in. Throw his comment up there. California. All right. So I just told everyone the topics of the day. Oh, and the last one that I missed is we're gonna do a little mock draft, our first mock draft on the channel at the end, pre-combine, so it's gonna change a lot. But Alex will go ahead and throw on the news of the week for you.
Alrighty. For the weekly roundup, let's get it started. So, first thing to note here, Richard Sherman said on his podcast that he predicts Stephon Gilmore will come to the West Coast, either to the Niners or the Seahawks. Which is interesting, Gilmore is a legit corner, older, but he's still legit, better than what we have now, in my opinion. Sherm, obviously, I didn't listen to his podcast, but I don't think he's a real inside source. I think he's just assuming that, you know what I mean? So that's interesting.
He's assuming what's gonna happen is what happened to him. Coming off injuries, older dude, was a great player in their prime. Change teams, go to a different location, and then Sherm had an all-pro season. I think he's kind of expecting the same thing for Gilmore.
Yeah, I would take that in a heartbeat. Also, Rich Scangarello, the 49ers quarterbacks coach, left for Kentucky to be their offensive coordinator, which is interesting in my opinion because seems like a step down to me, He had this fluidity with Shanahan and Trey, and then he left to go to Kentucky to be an offensive coordinator, which is interesting. So I looked up salaries as well, and some of the top offensive coordinators, Steve Sarkisian, Alabama offensive coordinator, makes about 2.5 mil. So obviously Scangarello is going to make a lot less at Kentucky, being an OC. So the salary, I don't think, is a huge factor in it. You know what I mean? Not like Kentucky was offering a lot more money, I would assume. So it's interesting, why are the coaches leaving for these lateral positions? Richard Hightower, Wes Welker, I don't know if there's some turmoil going on between the coaches, if the Trey Lance pick started some turmoil between them or something like that. But I think it's just something to note, something to keep our eye on, see if we hear anything about it later on. You have any opinions on that?
I did see, I forget where I saw it, but someone was saying a lot of these coaches disagreed with some decisions last offseason. I forget who said it though, so I don't know if it was credible.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting for sure. Another one, John Lynch declined an Amazon broadcasting spot that would have tripled his current salary to about $15 million a year, which is extremely good for the Niners, you know. He said he was going to stick with the organization, and he did. Man of his word, so that's good to see. Any thoughts?
I recently found out how much these broadcasters make, and I was very shocked, to be honest. Like,
Me
it's
too.
insane the amount of money they make.
It's crazy that a broadcaster makes more than a general manager of an NFL team. That's crazy.
Hello?
Yeah,
Say
what's up?
some? All right, yeah,
You hear me?
my AirPods weren't connected, so I had to reconnect them.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. And then the 49ers are going to get serious about the Jimmy G trade at the combine, which is kind of expected, you know. A lot of the general managers and head coaches talk during the combine because they're all there and they're all scouting. So nothing really to note there, in my opinion.
That's what I titled this video. The most important week of the 49ers offseason is this week.
Yeah. Next little tidbit. The Niners are in talks with Raheem Mostert's agent about a contract extension, which we touched on last pod that we would bring him back, you know, for that change of pace. So seems like the Niners might be starting to do that, getting in touch, see if we can get something done within these next few weeks. And then Adam Schefter says that Jimmy G might not get traded. I don't think there's much truth to that because our cap situation, I mean, you just can't bring him back. It doesn't work financially. So I don't think there's much truth to that. So I think we can still count on Jimmy G getting traded this offseason.
It's
Hopefully soon.
it's funny the amount of change that has happened this past like week or two in the Jimmy G situation. Oh, is he worth a first round pick? Oh no, 2/4. Oh no, he's gonna get cut. Like, man, I can't
Yeah.
wait. We got
Yeah.
hopefully 2 more weeks and something happens.
Yeah. I agree. I think we could probably expect something around a Carson Wentz deal. You know, let me look that real quick. See what exactly they got for him. So I would say they're pretty similar players. I would say, you know, both dealing with injury problems in the past. Both have been to a Super Bowl, even though Wentz got hurt during that 1 year, and then Foles took over. But both have been somewhat successful, you know. So I think that it could be somewhere near this. So the Colts got Carson Wentz, and the Eagles got a 2021 third round pick and a conditional 2022 first round pick. So the conditions necessary for the pick to be a first rounder were Wentz playing 75% of snaps or 70% of snaps and Indy making the playoffs. I would take a deal like that for Jimmy G in a heartbeat.
I would as
And I
well.
think that's a fair trade. You know, Jimmy G deals with those injuries every now and again. So if he plays more than 70, 75%, turn that bad boy into a first. If he doesn't, stays a second. Still fair.
I agree.
You know, yeah. All right. There are some other things I want to touch on too before we get on to the little draft prospects and stuff. I wanted to say something, I guess. It was about Eli Mitchell. You know, great running back in my opinion. But he kind of reminded me of like Carlos Hyde when he played for the Niners, you know. Carlos Hyde would always have those good runs, but he can never break away for that long touchdown, you know, or that long run. So I think that's something that he should work on and we should look for this next season because Eli Mitchell's a good running back, but he just doesn't get those long home run like touchdowns. He got the one in week 1 against Detroit. That was like 30, 40 yards, I think, something. But after that, there wasn't many.
I
What do
think
you
the injuries kind of slowed him down a bit. The you know, like explosiveness. But I do agree. He's a good tough 3, 4, 5 yard runner. Might break a tackle, get a first down, but like we said, Raheem brings that explosiveness that maybe 4 or 5 backs in the league have. It's
Same with
hard in the
Debo.
NFL. Yeah, Debo.
Debo too, because you saw Debo breaking those long 35, 40-yard runs. That one run that Debo had against the Rams, when he just accelerates through those tackles, like, that run was crazy. It's crazy because Debo really is probably our best receiver and our best running back, realistically.
I
And that's not
agree.
a shot at Eli Mitchell either.
The wife supporting from Florida. Let's see. She asked a question for us. Do you think the 49ers are going to draft someone or pick someone up from a trade who is already on another team? Yes. The question I think is, are they going to trade for somebody?
Yeah.
Um, the 49ers aren't really in position to make player trades because they don't have the high end draft capital this year. They have a lot of draft capital, but not high end. So I don't think they're going to make a big move via trade.
Yeah, I agree. I know some people are saying, oh, maybe trade Jimmy G for Kendall or Kyle Fuller from the Commanders. Um, mm, I think it would be Eric Crocker touched on it earlier in one of his podcasts and said it'd have to be probably Fuller plus a pick because a quarterback moves the ticker a lot more than a corner does. You know what I mean? So I
I
think if we
agree.
were going to get a player in a trade, it would have to be probably for a pick as well.
And I also think if you're going to get a player, it's harder because a vet player is going to have a higher draft hit or a cap hit than
Yeah,
a rookie on a draft pick would. So I think the 49ers would prefer draft picks in the trade and not a player.
I agree. Especially, yeah, 'cause our cap's a little tight right now as well. And then another thing I thought was interesting was a lot of people say, the Niners need to draft and develop, draft and develop. They're not the best at doing that, but I would go against that because if you look at the top players on the team, they're mostly drafted by the 49ers. Look at Fred Warner, George Kittle, Debo Samuel, um, even Jimmy Ward, Jaquaski Tart, DJ Jones, they've done a very good job drafting and developing, in my opinion. And
And
it ends up turning into those players where you have to pay those huge contracts that are so good. And I think it sucks for the team, for the cap, but like that shows that they drafted and developed well.
I agree. And I personally think the 49ers are one of the best at finding the undrafted talent. As we've seen probably the past 3 to 4 years with this new regime, they find 1 to 2 quality undrafted free agents every year. For example, was Matt Breda undrafted, I
He was
believe.
undrafted, yeah.
Kendrick
Undrafted.
Bourne.
Undrafted.
Um, those
I mean,
two off
even
the
late
top of my
round
head.
picks too, though. You figure like those later, like fifth through seventh rounders.
Yeah. Jawan
Dre
Jennings,
Greenlaw, yep, John Jennings,
Kittle.
Eli Mitchell, Kittle, Fred was a third round pick. Fred Warner, third round pick. Um, so yeah, they're good at finding those deep round undrafted picks. I don't think they're the best at finding those early talents, as good as they are at finding the background talents. You know what I mean? The Aaron Banks, the Trey Sermons, Joe Williams, running back from Utah from a few years ago, is like a third, second round pick. So I think they could use some work up there, but
They're
still.
a lot more inconsistent. I think they overthink the front end unless
Mm,
it's a home run like Bosa, obviously, but they
Bosa was a
overthink those
given.
front end players, and hopefully Trey Lance isn't one that they overthought.
Yeah.
That one's
You know,
pending.
an interesting thing too is I'm curious to know who takes part in those later round picks. You know, is Adam Peters the one that's like spearheading those picks? Or is it still John Lynch and Shanahan? Or are John Lynch and Shanahan doing the first 3-4 rounds and then Peters is taking up the last few? Or that Ron Carthen, I think, or something. He's a assistant
Yeah,
GM or something for the Niners. You know, are those two doing the late round picks, and then John Lynch and Channy are doing the first round? Um, that's it. That's something I think is interesting. I would like to know which uh which guys play roles. You know.
that's also another piece of news. Ron Carthen interviewed with the Steelers yesterday, I believe it was. So we'll see if he leaves. Um, the talent, the front office and coaching talent is getting plucked up. All right, we got a couple questions. My wife again. How do you feel about the recent rumors regarding keeping Jimmy G for another year? Go ahead.
Hate it. No, can't do it. It just doesn't work out financially for the Niners. And you put all these draft picks into Trey Lance to get him. Let's start getting him some play. Let's start running him. You know, I think you just can't do it with Jimmy financially, and I don't think it's worth it. You got to start getting Trey that playing time.
Exactly. And then our dad, let's see. I seen on Twitter today one of the writers was saying trade Kittle. What's your thought on that? All right, that is a Grant Cohn. He loves making very bold statements about what the 49ers should do. Some are good, some are bad. I didn't watch that video. I think he was talking about clearing the cap space and the low usage of Kittle this past year. I'm pretty sure that's what he talked about. Um, I would not trade Kittle. He's vital to the team. And I also think the reason Kittle has a lot of injury issues are because Jimmy throws him those hospital passes. A lot of his major injuries the past 2 years was because of the throw, a high throw, and he gets hit in the leg. He's out 6, 7 games, you know. Without that, I think he would overall be healthier and play a lot more games during the seasons.
Yeah, I agree. But I would say if we had to trade like one of our key players, you know, one of those big money contracts, Kittle would be the first player to trade, in my opinion. He's older, already 28, 29 years old. Gets
Something
hurt,
like
like you
that.
said. Is it Jimmy? Is it not? Who knows? Um, so yeah, I would say Kittle would be the first one to trade if we were going to trade one of our top value players.
We got why Big Jordan said, y'all going to have to release Jimmy. I don't think so. I think, you know, even if the 49ers don't get a top first 3 round picks, they're going to get a fourth or a fifth. They're not going to release them. Somebody will at least give up a fourth or a fifth if the trade market is as bad as they're saying.
Yeah, if it came to that, that'd be the world ending. That would be the worst case scenario for the 49ers. Is it possible? Yes, because you figure Jimmy G does make a lot of money. You
He
know,
does.
he does
But
make a lot of
also,
money. A lot of money in general, but not a lot of money for like a starting caliber quarterback. You know, Kirk Cousins makes like 30 plus mil, I think. You know, Mahomes. I mean, those are different level quarterbacks, but still, for a starting caliber quarterback, Jimmy G is like team friendly, I guess you could say.
yeah, and if it does come down to it, cut him. You know, if there's no team that is they know you're going to cut them, they're not going to offer anything, cut them. You know, cut your loss. It's you still clear the 20 some million in cap space. So,
Hmm.
I would still cut them, you know, the front office is going to take a lot of heat for that, but worst case scenario, you still got to do it.
Yep, I agree.
All right, let's jump into the combine. Let's speak on what the combine should be used for, how it could raise stock or lower stock for players, and then let's talk about our players after that.
The combine's huge. The main thing you get from a combine, most teams look at it would be 40 times. So if you run a great 40, but you're like an average production player from college, but you run a top-notch 40, your draft stock's gonna go booming. Like you're gonna be the talk of the town. You know what I mean? But on the flip side of that, let's say even if you were a really good player in college, an example, Talanoa Hufanga last year, very productive in college. One of the
All-American.
best, one of the best safeties in college. But his 40 time was slow. And look, where'd that put him? 5th round pick, right? 5th round?
Yeah, I think fifth.
5th round pick just because he ran a slow 40 time. So, 40 times can make you or break you, in my opinion, for that combine.
And I personally don't look at the 40 as like that doesn't really affect me as much. I don't rank players based on that because there was a good video that came out this past season. It was a Gabriel Davis, the wide receiver for the Bills. He was running his 40, and the Bills GM or management was up there watching, and they're like, please run slow. Please run slow, because the slower he runs, the lower he's going to go, and we want him. We know he could play. And then we saw what he did in that playoff game.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between play speed and actual. There's guys that'll blaze on a 40, but then be play. So obviously play speed's more important than 40 times,
Yeah, I
in
think
my
Debo
opinion.
ran what, a 4.49, 4.45 or something,
Yeah, something like that.
and he's running straight past people that run way faster times than him.
Like that Rams game that we were talking about when he just accelerated. It looks like he got shot out of a cannon.
Yep.
So play speed's important too.
The thing to look for in the combine, you like to see the size confirmed for players. Colleges will list dudes at, oh, he's 6'5", 250, and then he'll go to the combine and they'll be 6'2", 230. You want to see the size. You
Arm
want to
length.
see, yeah, the arm length. You want to see the people that had injuries. Are they healthy now? Are they good to go? You want to see how they move, stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
with that said,
you remember with Reuben Foster that year he was coming out, the NFL doctor that was doing his physical was like, "Oh, this doesn't look right," and he wanted to fight the doctor because he said that because it was gonna impact his draft stock.
yeah.
So yeah, health. No, those physicals are important.
Funny thing too is I've been seeing a lot of the combine like commercials on TV, and guess who the poster boy is this year of the combine? Take a guess.
Uh, what position? Give me a hint.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. I have no idea who.
It's Debo. They show
Oh yeah,
Debo running like a route at the combine, and then they show him in his uniform running the same route, cut back to the combine. Debo is the poster boy this year of the combine.
yeah. Speaking of Debo, I think a lot of teams are gonna try to find who's the next Debo. You're gonna hear, "Oh, is this dude the next Debo?" But Debo's one of a kind. Because
He is.
I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about you don't want to get a player that's like a tweener. A player that's mediocre at this position and mediocre at this position. Example, Solomon Thomas. He was mediocre on the edge and he was mediocre inside, and they thought that he'd be able to excel somehow. But no, he ended up being a tweener, washed out. Debo, on the other hand, is excellent at running back and excellent at receiver. So I think there's a big difference between tweeners and like actual two-way players.
I think Debo is different too because the running back thing was found more after the fact. He was a receiver first, and then Kyle found out like, hey, this dude, just get him the ball. Same
Yeah.
with like Cordell Patterson. He never really fit in at wide receiver. So then they threw him at running back first, and then he started excelling this past year.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our people that we're looking forward to watch at the combine. You could say you think it's going to raise their stock, or they're just people you're high on that you think the combine will make people higher on them.
I think my first guy that I'll list here, I have about 5 people that I'm gonna have my eye on for the combine, see how they test. Um, One of the guys I have my eye on is Calvin Austin, wide receiver from Memphis. He's a senior. He's only 5'7", 173, you know, but they're expecting his 40 times to be in high 4.2s, low 4.3s. So if he can hit that 40 time, I would definitely be interested in the 49ers draft him in the later rounds. He could fill up that return position for us. If that's all he did, that'd be a great pick because our returners this year were garbage. Dropping kickoffs, dropping punts, taking balls out of like 7 yards deep and getting hit after 10 yards. So that's somebody I definitely have my eye on. And we use Travis Benjamin as like our speed receiver. So I think Calvin Austin could come in, fill that spot. He's young. He can stretch the field. Trey Lance could hit that occasional deep pass to him, keep the safeties and DBs honest. So that's somebody I definitely have my eye on. One of my favorite players to watch for this draft season.
He did well at the Senior Bowl too. A lot of people were impressed with his
Mm-hmm.
ability to get off press because he is so small, and the breakaway speed. Since we're talking returners, I went a different route with mine. I went with Marcus Jones from Houston. He's a slot corner. He played outside and slot in college, but he is 5'8", 180. Small guy, kind of like DJ Reed was. Um, Great returner. I'm pretty sure he was the top punt returner this past year in college. He's a good kick returner as well. And in the slot and outside at corner, he defended like 17 passes this past year, and he had 5 interceptions. So he's
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good corner. I feel like, that's a position of need, but even if he can't play corner for us, the slot, the returning ability gives you that versatility. And
Yeah.
also, he played Calvin Austin in 2020, and he competed with him. He also played Alec Pierce, Cincinnati guy, this past year. He's, I believe, like 6'5", wide receiver, and he played good against him. So that's a guy I'd look out for in like rounds. They're saying right now like rounds 3 to like 6. So somewhere
And
in
that
the
was
middle.
Marcus Jones, you said, right, from Houston.
Yeah, and if you guys watch these guys, let us watch them this week and let us know what you think of these guys we're talking about next week on the pod.
Yeah. So my next guy that I'm very interested in seeing how they do is Cole Strange, center, Chattanooga. Small college guy. He's 6'4", 304. He played all 3 positions along the line. So he had 41 starts at left guard, 2 starts at left tackle, and 1 at center. I think we draft him as a guard, possibly center, preferably center if we can get him there. Um, Yeah, so that's definitely somebody. He's be athletic, has good pop. He'd be a mid-round guy. So that's somebody I would definitely keep my eye on. Form that fluidity with Trey Lance too. They can grow for years. Like Peyton Manning and the center over there for the Colts. What was his name?
Saturday, wasn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff Saturday. Yep. Peyton Manning, Jeff Saturday have that bond between quarterback and center. I think that would be pretty important. Yeah, even if Alex Mack is coming back, this year, throw Strange at guard, one of the guard spots. If Lakin leaves left guard, or let him compete against Brunskill if we bring him back at right guard. And then Alex Mack retires, boom, you got your starting center for the next few years.
Pretty
That's
sure he
definitely
was a
somebody I'd
Senior
keep
Bowl
my
guy
eye
as
on.
well, right?
Yeah, he was.
And you got to remember the 49ers, like 70% of their draft classes are from the Senior Bowl. So if you hear us talk about a lot of Senior Bowl guys, there's a reason they draft a lot of them.
Debo was a Senior Bowl guy.
Yep. Dre Greenlaw, Jalen Hurd, even though that one didn't work out. Um, we had a common trend here with our people that we're talking about. Our channel is Bullyball, right? 49ers play physical. I went with Daniel Falel. I think that's how you say his name. He's a tackle from Minnesota. He also was a Senior Bowl guy. See, we have a trend here. He is 6'9", and at the Senior Bowl, I believe he was 380. But he played at college at 400 pounds. The dude is massive. He plays right
Sounds like
tackle.
Trent Brown.
He plays right tackle, and you would think this dude cannot move, right? But I was watching his one-on-ones and stuff at the Senior Bowl. He'll struggle with like your Von Millers, but who doesn't struggle with Von Miller type players, right? Those speed guys, but he's massive and he just destroys people in the run blocking. And he's so massive that he's in your way no matter what when you're pass rushing. So go watch this guy's highlights at the Senior Bowl and during the season. He's a guy I'd look out for because you never know with Mike McGlinchey how he's going to be this year. I don't know if this guy could kick inside because of his size, but maybe he could play guard if you need him to. Go watch that guy. Fun player.
How do you spell his last name?
Falele, it's Faaleele. Huge. Like when you see him next to the people at the Senior Bowl, it's crazy.
Yeah. All right. One of my other ones that I was interested in is Travis Jones, D tackle from UConn. 6'4", 326. He's a run plugger. Big dude. Stop the run. He's not super twitchy. He's not going to be that big sack guy, but who D tackle wise is. So if DJ Jones leaves, you can plug Travis Jones in right there and at least have him depend on him stopping the run, taking up a couple guys in pass rushing downs as well if you need to. Realistically, though, you don't want him to be in those pass rushing downs to be like a base player, first and second down type of guy, then third down, bringing that speed package. So that's another guy I'd like to keep an eye on, see how he tests at the combine.
I also had a Travis Jones on mine. He was at the Senior Bowl just wrecking people in the middle, like straight wrecking people. He destroys double teams. Um, he's a bully. Fits perfectly on our channel. Yeah, I have a lot of D tackles on my list as well because, like we said on the last pod, that's a spot that's weak for us right now. So I'll follow that one up with Logan Hall, D tackle from Houston. He's a smaller guy. He doesn't have the weight as Travis Jones. He's 6'5", 278 at the Senior Bowl, but he has a lot of twitch. He's one of those guys more in the nobody's Aaron Donald, but he has like the twitchier ability like that and not he's not as good of a run stuffer as Travis Jones. But as a guy that could develop, I think he has a lot of pass rush ability from the D tackle spot. I think he's projected in like the second round right now, but I feel like he's going to test very well at the combine.
I think a another interesting player is Perrion Winfrey, 3 tech out of Oklahoma. I think he's going to go early, though. I don't even know if he'll be around for our first pick in the second round. But that dude's legit. Senior Bowl guy again, destroying people.
Senior Bowl
Destroying
MVP.
people. Yeah, that dude is legit. So that was another D tackle that I had my eye on.
In my last D tackle, I had one more for you. This guy, he's a like 5th to 7th, maybe undrafted guy. Noah Ellis from Idaho. He's 6'4", 366, and he has like some twitch to him for that huge of a guy. Someone was posting a thread of him on Twitter, and he was just destroying double teams. He was getting to the quarterback. If you can find videos of him on Twitter, check him out.
Another guy that I have my eye on, Lewis Scene, strong safety, Georgia. He's 6'1", 200. He plays real downhill. He's good in the box. Struggles in coverage, but in zone coverage, you can kind of help out with that. Obviously, my opinion, as I've stated on the last few pods, I would rather bring back Jaquaski Tart if we could. But I think Sign could be a good plug-in in there in case we have to let him go. Have you looked at him yet?
I haven't seen much of him, but I do remember hearing that he's great in the box.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing as Tart.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all I've heard of him so far. I have two more people. I'll finish with one of my favorite players last. So right now I'm going to go with Greg Dulcich. He's tight end from UCLA. He's 6'3", 245, and he is like perfect for the 49er scheme, the yards after catch guy. He creates in space, and he's pretty good at creating separation for a big tight end. I would definitely recommend watching some highlights or some tape on him. Probably like a 4th to 7th round guy, but definitely an interesting tight end. And based on this comment, if you trade Kittle, who would you want to pick up? This is a tight end I would look at in the draft, even if we keep Kittle. So,
Alrighty. My next dude, I have two more as well. My next guy, obviously, I took a big focus on offensive line for the 49ers because I think that's one of our biggest holes. You have debatably 3 to 4 holes on that offensive line. So another guy that I like is Dylan Parham, right guard from Memphis. Be a late day 2, early day 3 pick. And he's smaller. He's a smaller guard, but he's real athletic. Real athletic. Can move in space, good in space, decent against pass blocking, but of course can get overpowered at times. I think he fits what the 49ers want in their guards like to the T. So that's definitely somebody I'm keeping my eye on this draft season. Dylan Parham from Memphis.
definitely a lot of O linemen to look at. I didn't put a lot of O linemen for my combine watch list just because you can't really see much from an O lineman at the combine. D line too, but yeah, definitely keep an eye on all the linemen you can because I'm sure we're going to bring in a lot of them. My last player, it's a wide receiver. Now, I know you may say the 49ers don't need a receiver. They do. They have 2 to 3 on the roster at the moment. You got to have at least 5 on the active roster. A lot of people want Christian Watson from North Dakota State. He played with Trey Lance. Great player. I personally think he's going to be gone before our second round pick. And I also would not take a wide receiver with our second round pick. Um, so my guy is Eric Uzakama from Texas Tech. He's 6'3", 220. From that's what Texas Tech listed him at, but I would like to see how tall he is actually at the combine. He's a bully. He When you watch his college tape, he takes a lot of bubble screens like Debo, a lot of in-breaking routes like the 49ers run, but then he also has that jump ball ability. He has some crazy touchdown catches in the end zone with 2-3 guys on him. Um, and he racks up a lot of yak and he hits people. Definitely my favorite receiver in the class, like in the middle rounds. I would definitely look at bringing him in. He fits the team perfectly.
Yeah, that's interesting because the Niners were rolling with the Mosquito Squad for a while there, but then Juwan Jennings kind of came in and broke that role. He's a bigger receiver, bigger body, so maybe they will start trending towards the bigger body receivers. And then my last guy was Darion Kendrick, cornerback. He's for Georgia, I believe. He's 5'11", 206. He's a former wide receiver, so he has great ball skills. He can track the ball, pluck it out the air. But he lacks speed. He doesn't have great speed. Chris Olave from Ohio State, the receiver, destroyed him. So I'm interested to see his 40 time at the combine. And then he needs to work on his tackling too. He's an ankle tackler. So obviously Shanahan likes those guys that can really hit, come up, and lay some wood. So, but still, you can never have too much depth at corner. So that'd be somebody I'm keeping my eye on about that 40 time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he runs. There's a lot of good, interesting corners this year, but we'll get into those later on in the process. Go ahead and answer these few questions while I pull up the mock draft simulator. And if you click on them, you can throw them on the screen.
Yep. So our mom coming in with the question, how do you feel about D Ford? What do we do with him? This one, I'm on the fence. I know Joseph's opinion on it. I'm stuck on the fence because right now we just paid him his injury guarantee, which is like $5.6 million or something. And we can only release him after June 1st with a post-June 1 designation. And only at June 1st would we get like $2.5 million profit from cutting him. So, in my opinion, the money we would get from cutting him wouldn't affect free agency. We wouldn't be able to use any of that money during free agency. We'd probably be able to use it for the contract extensions for Debo and Nick Bosa later on, but we wouldn't be able to use it for any of the new free agents coming in. So I would probably just keep him and let him go through training camp, see if he can stay healthy. If he can't stay healthy during training camp, then I would release him then. But if he can stay healthy, he'd be a good third down, strictly third down, only on third downs, play him, So I would say for now, let's keep him, run it through training camp. If he gets hurt, let him go then.
You know how I feel about that. What'd you say?
Yeah. Joe hates him, wants to get rid of him no matter what.
Yeah. All right. Can you see the mock draft simulator?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So I went ahead and just ran the mock draft up to our second round pick. We're not going to do any trades. We're just going to draft at our position. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So we're at our pick. These are the top players at our pick. Can you see them?
Mm-hmm.
So we got the highest rated player tight end. We got a guard right here. Where would you look to draft at this spot?
It's
What position
interesting.
would you look at?
You
Would
know,
you
I
go
don't want
best
to.
available?
You know, you don't really want to draft for need ever, because if you start doing that, then you're going to start reaching for players. But best available, obviously, you don't want to take a tight end with your first pick in the draft.
I agree.
But right here, scroll down a little bit. There's our guy, Travis Jones. You know, I think a lot of this too is depending on who we bring back in free agency. So I'm just gonna
Yes,
assume
definitely.
we bring back DJ Jones. Yeah, I'll
So
say we
yeah,
bring back DJ
obviously
Jones.
it'll be very, very different after free agency, but this is just for fun,
Yeah.
who
So
we
right
would
here, I'll
take.
go Roger McCreary, cornerback from
That
Auburn. Eric Crocker did a breakdown on him. You know, he said he plays extremely well in coverage and everything. He's a great corner. The only hit on him is he has small arms, like super small arms, like tiny for a corner. But I think if he's a baller, he's a baller. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
that was my pick too. I've been watching a lot of him lately. I watched the Alabama game, and the play everyone knows him for is in overtime. Um, Mechie caught the game winning 2-point conversion on him, but he was locking Mechie and Williams all game.
yeah,
I think he's a great player. I would also be interested here in a Boye Mafe. He's a speed rusher, which is the only type of pass rusher I'd bring in this offseason. Don't think it's a high need though, so that's why I'd pass on him. Kyler Gordon is supposed to be like one of the best athletes in this draft. He'll probably do great at the combine. Um, and then I would definitely look at Travis Jones if DJ Jones doesn't come back. But we're going McCreary here.
I'm just gonna keep it 100% honest. I haven't done too much um, intel into the draft yet because I like to see what we do with free agency, and then I'll alter my draft process depending on what we do from there. So I've done research on a few guys, but not as much as I should have.
I've done a good amount, but not. I haven't got deep into the details either. So we took a corner with our first pick, and I would say arguably one of the best players available at the point as well. Um, Here it looks like we still have Boye Mafe here. I think that would be a good value. Center Alec Lindstrom. I've heard he's pretty good. He's more of a technician than like a raw athlete. Like he doesn't have the measurables. You know what I mean? Um, Justin Ross is an interesting player. His freshman year, he looked like he was going to be a top 5 pick when he came out in the draft. He was the best receiver on the team that had T. Higgins and Hunter Renfro. But then he had that neck injury. And then this past year, the team wasn't good, but you know what I mean? He'll be an interesting player to see at the combine.
Yeah.
Um, Verone McKinley, ball hawking safety. I think he had like 6 interceptions. Um, Tariq Woolen is a 6'4" corner. He's interesting, but we already took corner. My guy Uzama, don't think he's the best value here though. Um, who would you take?
I haven't done much research on Boye Mafe, but you can never have too many edge rushers. This one's hard because I have looked into Alec Lindstrom as well.
How does he look?
Oh,
How does he look?
he's
I haven't
he's
watched any tape on him.
he's good. He's not the biggest guy. He fits the mold of the 49ers offensive lineman and what we look for.
Could he play
But
some guard?
yeah, I think so. I think so. But I would probably go Boye Mafe because I feel like you can never have too many edge rushers, and that's huge, especially with our corners being a little bit slower. Emmanuel Mosley, Ambry Thomas a little bit slower. Jimmy Ward's
Yeah.
getting up there in age, so you need the pass rush to get there fast to help them out. So I'd go Boye Mafe.
And Boye Mafe being here at this spot that would be a steal. So I think it's a good pick. A lot of the players we liked, I saw go picks before us. James Cook went the pick before us on this round. Very interesting running back. We don't need him, but he's a player I'd look out for. All right, so here's our second, third round pick. This is the pick we got, I believe, for Mike McDaniels. You still have Justin Ross on the board. He would not be on my board until I see if he's good medically at the combine and how he does at the combine. So we have tackle from Penn State here. Haven't seen him. D tackle Tennessee. My guy right here, Uzama. Telling you guys, watch him. You'll be impressed. Khalil Shakur is also a good wide receiver. He's not a big guy, but he creates a ton of separation. We got a guard here from Ohio State. I haven't heard much of him. Here's
I've
your
looked
guy.
into the Ohio State guard. He doesn't fit ours. He's a big
No.
mauler, phone booth type blocker, so I would pass over him.
Here's your guy, Kelvin Austin.
Yeah.
Cade Mays, Tennessee. Who you thinking here?
Who would you think? I would like to hear, since you've looked into some of these guys at this point, who would you like to see us take here?
Here, I would definitely take my guy Uzama. Not the best or greatest need, but I'm taking players that I know are going to get on the field this year and make an impact, and I think he's one of them. We took a corner already, or else I would consider Mario Goodrich. I definitely would look O-line here. It's just these players around here I haven't done a lot of research on. Who would you say? You don't know?
I would probably say that receiver you were talking about because I think we need a third receiver, you know, have somebody come in and challenge Juwan Jennings.
After after this, watch him and let me know what you think about him. I think you'll be impressed. All right, we are on to our fourth round pick here. Top available is running back Dameon Pierce. We got some O tackles here, edge, safety. Nobody I've really been looking at. Josh Jobe from Alabama corner, a good player.
I've heard some. Oh, there's Cole Strange, my guy Cole Strange down
Cole
there.
Strange, your guy. Cole Turner, tight end. Heard he's a pretty good tight end. My
I've
guy
heard about
Greg.
that Tariq Castro Fields from Penn State. I heard he's pretty good corner, I believe.
Corner.
Yeah.
My guy Greg Dulcich, tight end. Who would you go here? Your guy Cole.
So I'd be going between Castro Fields and Cole. Because I think you can never have too many corners, like we said. Come in here and challenge our guys. Make everybody get better.
Yeah.
But I would probably go. We haven't taken any O line, so I'll go Cole Strange. Fill him in at guard if Alex Mack returns. If not, he can come in and plug in as the starting center right away. So I'd go
Yeah,
Cole Strange.
I would do the same. You know, we took our corner. Can never have too many DBs, but at this point, if they're not going to beat out the person, you just need depth, and there's better positions to take at this point. Um, oh, my guy Greg Dulcich went the pick before us right here. Unfortunate. And then also, as you could see, the Cowboys pick on that side. I've seen a lot of people talking about Donovan West from Arizona State. They say he'd be a great fit for us at guard or center. Definitely a player I'd look into a little bit more.
Yeah, I've looked into him as well. Fits our scheme perfect too. Mobile guy, athletic. He's definitely somebody I'd keep my eye on as well.
All right, so we are, I believe this is the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
My guy Marcus Jones right here, great value at this point. This Amar Barno guy, he's more of a 3-4 outside linebacker. Um, Pretty explosive, but he's very thin. Um, who else we got? Uh, I haven't looked into this safety. JT Woods, I heard is a decent safety. Max Mitchell, heard he's a decent O tackle. Um, Nobody really stands out too much. I'd probably go with my guy Marcus Jones just for the versatility. Get that. You definitely know you have your starting returner, and I definitely think he could become your starting um, slot nickel guy. Who would you
If
look at
not, he can
here?
at least challenge Kawan Williams and Diamador Lenore.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I would go with your guy. You know, even if he didn't end up becoming the slot corner, the value of him being the returner is enough for me to take him here.
And I will say one more interesting thing if you do check this guy out. He had 10 receptions at receiver this past year for like 100 and something yards and a touchdown. Very versatile player. All right. We're back up. I believe this is a 6th round. Um, Here I would look definitely at a D tackle um, or best player available. You know, what do you think?
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Probably D tackle. I heard Sky Moore, decent receiver, I think. But I haven't really heard too much about any of these other guys as well. So I'd probably, like you said, be either best available or just D tackle because you need to fill that spot.
We'll go with this Neil Farrell Jr. D tackle from LSU. I've heard of him, haven't watched any film, but I've heard his name, so we'll go with him here. This O tackle from North Dakota State, I heard he's a pretty good player. Definitely someone I'd look at, but we'll go D tackle. All right, now we're heading into the 7th round. I think we have 3 picks here. Our first pick, oh, my guy Noah Ellis, D tackle right here. Look, we should have waited on our D tackle.
Yeah, I would still look into it, because we're gonna be losing a lot of depth there at
Yeah,
D tackle this year. So
we're
depending on who
losing
we
a
bring
lot.
back, could be interesting.
I'd look at this guy too at tight end, Derek Deese Jr. He looks to
I've
have
heard about
some.
him.
I'd look into him, but we'll go ahead and take my guy. We'll double up at D tackle in the back end, and hopefully, oh yeah, look, we come up in a few picks.
Yep.
All right, all right. Who would you go here? Dang, look, my guy Derek Deese Jr. just went
Oh,
before
dang
us.
it. Damn it. Um, these ones are kind of dart throws, These are ones that you just hope to land on somebody and just have some type of impact on the team, which the
Well,
49ers have been great at doing, as we touched on earlier.
yeah, I think the 49ers would know best here who they're gonna take.
Yeah.
Um, maybe O tackle. I don't know who this guy is, but it's a dart throw. Who would you go here?
I'd probably go O tackle and get some depth.
We'll take this best player available O
Hope that
tackle.
he can be a swing tackle.
All right, and then this is the last pick in the draft.
We have the
Um,
last pick, Mr. Irrelevant.
yep, and I'm overriding on this one. We're
Oh
taking my
yeah.
guy. We're taking my guy. He's gonna go. This guy is going to go probably in the 5th round, I would say. This dude.
Also,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Another guy to look at right there. If we want to save some money and let go of gold, look into Cade York, kicker from LSU. His stats from this last year, he went 15 for 18 from field goal, so 83.3%. 4 for 4 from 20 to 29 yards. 3 for 3 from 30 to 39 yards. 3 for 4, 40 to 49 yards. And then 5 for 7, 50 plus. His long is 56, and he made all of his extra points. So that's somebody I would
Yeah.
also look into. Best kicker in the draft. If we want to save some money, like, oh, gold getting old. Gold's getting old. It rhymes. It's true. Look to replace him.
Yeah, I'd look into it. The reason I take Matt Ariza, he punts 60 to 70 yards almost every time. He has a booming leg. He literally can punt from his end zone and pin the other team inside their 20, which is something we know we don't have. He also is the emergency kicker for San Diego State, and he's nailed 50-plus yard kicks. So if we do
Jeez.
keep Gold, and we know he's got injured a lot the past 2 years, you don't even have to bring a guy in because your punter can legit kick 50-plus yard field goals for you. So he can kick extra points. So we'll go ahead and take him, round us out. So we have Roger McCreary, Boye Mafe, Eric Uzakama, Cole Strange, Marcus Jones, Neil Farrell Jr., Noah Ellis, Spencer Burford, and Matt Ariza. How would you say this draft went?
Probably one of the best that it could have went. It's a pretty good. You can have, let's see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Your first 4 picks probably have some sort of impact. At least 2 or 3 of them are starters probably. You get your kicker down there at the end. You get a returner in Marcus Jones. There's another impact. So I think this was pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say you get at least 2, maybe 3 starters out of this draft. McCreary, Cole Strange, and the punter, and Marcus Jones, a returner. I believe you get a D tackle, a receiver, and an edge that are all going to get significant playing time.
Situational guys, probably.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe you get a lot of developmental talent with Boye Mafe, Cole Strange, Marcus Jones, and these big D tackles. I would say if this is how the draft went, the 49ers are in better position than when they went in. Definitely.
Yep, I agree.
All right, let me close this out for us. All right. And that's our mock draft. When you guys watch this, let us know what you thought of it. And let us know what you guys thought of the players we introduced to you. We're definitely going to look at the players the other one of us introduced. But yeah, I think biggest thing, 49ers need to bring in some playmakers, Other than that, guys that are going to be healthy and be on the field.
Versatility. Look into versatility too. Special teamers, if you can play receiver in special teams, huge. Yeah, let us know in the comments some players that you guys like in the draft so we can look into those guys as well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe too, please, so we can grow the
And
channel.
and before we go, give the people your two, like, the two people you really want them to look into.
Two guys, Cole Strange, he's a center. It's boring, I know, but give him a look. And Calvin Austin, look into Calvin Austin. I think he can have a big impact on special teams and at receiver too. So look into those two guys.
My two, Marcus Jones, versatility. He's going to bring you a ton of talent in a later round because of his size. Everyone's going to pass on him because of his size. Um, and Eric Uzakama, big guy, 6'3", 220. He can win down the field. He gets yak, and he takes bubble screens and a lot of reverses. He did at Texas Tech what Debo does for our team besides playing out of the backfield. So, take a look at those four players. Let us know what you guys think. And if you have anybody you like, bring them to our attention. We'll see you
Yep.
guys next week. Uh, let us know how the live went, what you thought of the live. Yeah, subscribe, like, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.